Seasoned with Grace Unbox presents Tune Up Tuesdays. This live weekly event is here to provide you and your family with tools for stronger family relationships. And now, here are your hosts, Doctors Robert and Denise Davis.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Tune Up Tuesdays, presented by Seasoned with Grace Unboxed. Tune Up Tuesdays is designed to provide tools and strategies to tune up, to improve, and to enhance family relationships. Matter of fact, we want to help you gain a better understanding of your family, as well as equip you to improve all family relationships. We hope to be a resource as you improve every area of family functioning. So, let's get started. Denise, would you please recap what our main focus is for us?
Okay, and as always, I'm reading from Murray Bowens, page 436
like
of Family Therapy in Clinical Practice. Can I get a break? But here we go. When any key member of a family can accurately observe what is going on in their family, as well as the part they play in it, when they can control their own emotional reactions, when they can avoid counterattacking, when they're provoked, and when they can maintain an active relationship with other key members of the family without withdrawing, emotionally checking out, or becoming silent, the entire system will change in a series of predictable steps. This is the essence of producing change in your family system. This is the method of coaching one person through the predictable functioning of their family system and supervising their efforts to modify their own functioning in all their relationships.
Wow, and you did a wonderful job of modifying because you went ahead and read that again for us. But you know what? Next week, I'm going to read the Murray Bowens quotes, and I'll let you take over. Matter of fact, let's practice. You take over. You just take over from here because I'm going to allow you to be you in this relationship.
What? Well, I'm an obedient and submissive wife, so I put it back on you. Last week, we talked about counterattacking and defending others. Learning not to counterattack or defend ourselves is a natural outgrowth of learning to controlling our emotional reactions. So today we're going to conclude our discussion on counterattacking and withdrawing. Our focus within this discussion is going to dive into the central question, that is, what kind of person do you want to be in your family, in your family's relationship? This is one of the first steps in what we call defining self.
Denise, you really summarized that very well. When we talk about defining self, we're talking about being the person that we want and need to be. We don't want other people to define us. We don't want other people to control us. Who do I want to be? Because, as I was just sharing, often we allow others to have such a control over our emotional functioning, especially family members, because of the close relationship that we have with them, that we don't know who we are. So it's kind of like I am who I am based off of what relationship that I'm in, or what person that I'm interacting with, or things of that nature. So it's not the real me. It's the me that is dictated by whoever I'm in interaction with. So to put it a little more clear, often we allow others to have such a control over our emotional functioning, especially family members, that who we are is determined by how others in our families function.
Okay.
So if they know how to be self-controlled, well, then I'll be self-controlled. But if they're condemning or criticizing, then I'm going to respond in kind. So it's really not who I am. It's who I am in relation to a particular person in a family relationship or in any other relationship. We can become so caught up in our family's emotions and the way that our family functions that we don't have a real self-identity. And we're talking about family, but this goes to all relationships, whether it's at work, whether it's at school or church, our community, our friendships, or whatever it is. We can become so caught up in other people's emotions and the way that they function that we really don't have a real self-identity. We have a self-identity that is dictated by the way that they function. We've had a few homework assignments that have asked you to journal how you want to respond or react in various relationship situations. The reasons for those assignments was to help you identify the type of person you want to be. And that's really what we're going to focus on today. The type of person that you want to be in relationships. Who are you? Not who are you in response to how others treat you. Not who are you in response to how you want people to view you, but who are you? And I'm going to say that one more time. Who are you? Not who are you in response to how others treat you. Not who are you in response to a particular relationship that you're in. Not who are you in response to how you want people to view you, the persona that you want to keep up. But the million dollar question is, who are you? Who's the real you? And that's true emotional maturity, because true emotional maturity is when you can define a self. When you can define a self and say, this is who I am. Here are the lines that separate us. And so even right now, while we are intertwined, there is still distinction between who I am and who she is. And anyone who's not blind can say, okay, one is the beauty and one is the beast.
I'll take it. I'm not going to argue.
True emotional maturity. Thank you, precious. True emotional maturity is when you can define a self. Each of us will be happier and more emotionally stable if we are ourselves, regardless of how others think of us or how others react to us or how others respond in various situations.
Okay, so Robert, I think of another reason why it's so important to define a self.
Okay.
This has to do specifically with defending ourselves or counterattacking. By choosing not to defend yourself or counterattacking, you change the dynamics of the relationship.
Okay. Oh, wow. Talk about that.
So
Change the dynamics of the relationship. I like that.
Okay, so think about it like this. When you counterattack or defend yourself, you allow the other person to define the terms of the relationship. When you counterattack or defend yourself, you allow the other person to dictate the dynamics of the relationship. You become a participant. You become emotionally reactive.
Wow. Okay. So I'm gonna just pause that for a second. So what you're saying is, when I allow someone else to determine how I respond emotionally, then they're actually setting the parameters they're setting. So in actuality, it's not me. It's me being controlled by them.
You're just a participant.
I'm just a participant. I like that word, participant.
Okay. So for instance, when I counterattack in responding to what the other person does, this gives the other person control of the relationship dynamics.
Wow. So let me just kind of process this, and I want you to kind of process that along with me. When I counterattack, so someone does something to me, and then I respond to what they've done in kind, which is counterattacking. You insult me, I insult you.
Tit for tat.
The tit for tat. I like that. The tit for tat. So then what is actually happening is they begin to set the tempo. Kind of like in a chess game, the white piece always moves first. So the black pieces on the chessboard are always in the defensive mode. And so there are some strategies in playing chess where black can gain a tempo. In other words, black can switch it and can become the one that's the aggressor and can take control of the game. But generally speaking, when you have two great chess masters, it's understood that white is the more aggressive because they have the first move. And so that happens when a person gets you into that counterattacking cycle.
And they'll know where to pick. That's how they have control.
And they know where, okay, if I push this button, this will happen.
Right.
And it becomes almost instinctive. Wow.
Right. Okay. So my second point is this. When I defend myself, it demonstrates that my identity, myself, is determined by how you view me. So in other words, I defend myself because I need you to view me a certain way.
And I saw you pausing. You thought I was going to jump in?
Yeah, I thought you were.
I'm actually learning, so I'm just listening.
Which means that myself, my identity is not mine, but it's yours.
Wow. So when I defend myself, I am trying to change who I am within your eyes.
Right.
So then it's not who I am. It's not I am that I am. It's I am. No. It's not I am that I am.
Okay.
It's I am based off of how I need you to see me. Not based off of who I really am, but whatever my emotional needs are, how I need you to see me. Wow. So then it's no longer myself. I'm so, and you used the word earlier, enmeshed in this relationship. I'm so engaged or involved in this relationship dynamic or whatever it may be, that I need you to see me a certain way for whatever reason it may be. And so I end up losing the self of who I am.
Okay, if I ever have a chance to preach, I actually have I am that I am. Okay, I like that. So what we've shared so far is theoretical. The challenge is practicing these new behaviors in real life.
And so I want to pause it for a second because you talked about preaching. Boy, it kind of got a minute, but
I am who I am.
And
that's what God declared to Moses. I'm not trying for you to change and see. I don't want to change for you to see who I am based on your view or your limited view. I am who I am. I can't explain it. I am who I am.
So it doesn't make a difference how you respond in the relationship, what you think of me, your criticisms of me, or whatever it may be. I am who I am.
I am who I am.
Well, I'll tell you, preaching. All right, I want to sit there.
I'm not a preacher though, so I may write it, but I'll never preach it.
All right, well, write it, and I'll preach it.
Okay.
All right, and I got a whole bunch of friends of mine who are preaching as well. Now, you said that what we've talked about so far is theoretical. Yes.
It is. So now the challenge is practicing these new behaviors in real life.
And that is actually the challenge, practicing them in real life. And that's actually true. So let's run through a few scenarios that will bring these points home and can transition them into real life. Okay. So how should I respond, or rather, how should you respond? Not me. Let's put it on you for a second. How should you respond if I accuse you of being selfish? So I say to you, you know what? You did X, Y, and Z. You're selfish.
I thought we were going to use real life scenarios.
Unfortunately, in real life, there have been times where we have said things that we now regret. And I may have, in times past, hinted, intimated, suggested that I perceived you to be selfish.
Okay. Well, I don't have to respond. The better question is, why do I have to respond?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not selfish, so why do I have to respond? So remember when we talked about accurately observing what is going on? In this context, I need to focus on what I'm trying to accomplish and who I am.
Okay. Last week we talked about a family member becoming angry because you wouldn't pick up your uncle from the bowling alley. We gave that scenario. What I'm hearing you say is I need to stay focused and not get sidetracked. And I think in the scenario that we went over last week, the issue was the uncle or something that being late or whatever. I'm trying to remember all the details.
And I said I wasn't going to pick him up because I told him, if you're going to be late, I'm not going to pick you up anymore. And I stood firm.
Well, I like that.
Okay, so yes, in our scenario last week, the issue was not picking up my uncle because he is not timely. All I need to do is state the fact that I will and what I will and will not do, and then leave it there. So the name calling, I can stop the name calling right there. You call me selfish, I don't have to respond. That will stop quickly. So,
and I just want to make sure I'm processing it. So what I'm hearing you say is, this is the reality. I'm not going to pick him up. You're selfish. Your thoughts are your thoughts.
I am who I am.
I don't have to defend myself. I don't have to counterattack. Right. I just who I am. This is what I'm going to do is just stick to the fact. The fact is, this is what I'm going to do. And name calling is not going to change it. Because those are attempts for individuals to draw you in, to manipulate you, to get you caught up in their emotional reaction. And I'm not going to do that. Like you said, all I got to do is just state the facts of what I will and will not do, and I'm just going to leave it there.
And if I give in, I'm being controlled by you. And then next time, if I say the right thing, push the right button, call her name, say she's selfish, she'll buckle.
I don't know if I remember when we were trying to wean our son, and he just clawed at you. He just claw at you. If I claw long enough, sooner or later she's going to give in. Sooner or later she's going to give in,
but after 16 months,
boy,
I stopped giving in.
It only took 16 months, but we got there. I'm proud of you. That's right. So far, it seems that you're addressing not defending ourselves. But does this approach also work when we feel compelled to counterattack? Because sometimes some people need to just get cussed out.
does. Okay.
Sometimes they just need to get cussed out. I mean,
Okay, well, I know you're joking about cussing people out, but for the benefit of our listeners, why would it be necessary to cuss someone out?
well, the reason that I've counterattacked in the past, because I'll be honest with you, I usually do better on the aggression, but I'm pretty good. I'm a pretty good counterpuncher too. And the reason that I've a counterattack in the past is because I feel anxious or annoyed by what the other person is saying or what the other person is doing. So I start to feel a certain way, anxious, annoyed, or whatever it may be. I'm angry or whatever, and so then my response to that, of course, is to say, "All right, if you can give it, you're gonna take it."
Okay.
And,
Aren't you glad for the wife you have?
I'm so glad. Oh Lord, it's hard to be humble when you're perfect in every way.
Okay.
We're having too much fun.
So that's the essence of letting someone have control over our functioning. That's losing yourself. That's letting someone dictate how you feel and how you respond.
A person who has a well-defined self, or someone who is emotionally mature, responds, reacts, and interacts based on the principles of who they are. And I just want to pause here for a second. An emotionally mature person responds based on principles, a set of principles that guide their life, the principles of who they are. And when you respond based on who you are, and this kind of, and I know not all of our viewers are Christians, and I want to just say I appreciate everyone, but there's a chapter in the Bible, if you could just kind of Google this, it's 1 Corinthians chapter 13. It is considered the love chapter. And it kind of talks about our emotional maturity. It just says that, love is patient and love is kind. That's 1 Corinthians 13, and it talks about all the wonderful things that love is. And so it's a principle of who I am. So I'm just going to do who I am. This and what this does is a lot of things run through my mind. What this does is it allows us to live a consistent life. And there's someone who's watching this episode that is really tired of allowing others to have control over your emotions, your reactions, and your feelings. And you know who I'm talking to because you're in the conviction right now. Because many times, when someone says, "Well, why did you do that?" Because they did this. It's almost such a childish response. I did that because they did this.
Or if he didn't do that, and I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, I told him to stop this, or I told her not to do that. And especially, this is going way into the deep end, because it's usually not this extreme. But this is kind of one of those cases within abuse, in abusive relationships, I wouldn't have hit her, but she did this.
Right.
So almost justifying my behavior. But even individuals who are abusive have no self. I was going to say they have a very low self or low self-identity, or being able to define themselves. Or sense of self, thank you. They have but what it really is they have no self. So their emotions, their responses, all that they do is so bound up in the other person, and in an attempt to control the other person, they go, excuse me, they go to the extreme of becoming abusive. And we don't want to be that way. But a lot of times, like children, they did this to me, they did that. And so that's why I hold grudges. That's why I act this way. And one of the things that I shared, when I was pastoring, and I shared this with you, and I've shared this with my other leaders, one of the things, it's so interesting as a pastor just to watch how individuals who are mature in age, 60, 70, 80 years old, can act so immature in the way that they function in relationships. And you sit there and you say, wow, how can you be this old and still be so immature and still be so reactive and still be so controlled by individuals? And I believe that there's someone who's listening to this that really needs to hear this. And that is, you do not want to get to a place where you allow others to have control over your emotions. You should be able to say, when you do something, why did you do that? Because that's who I am. I didn't do that because of what they did to me. I responded out of who I am. And so, the goal of Tune Up Tuesdays is to provide you with the tools and resources to be in control of your life and to be the person, the self that will minimize stress in your relationships. And I want to say this, it is not easy, but each victory will help you to win the next victory. As you start by identifying who you want to be and move in that direction slowly but consistently. I'm going to say, you start off saying, who do I want to be? And then I'm going to move in that direction slowly and consistently. And again, 1 Corinthians chapter 13, I really encourage you to read that as it talks about the essence of what love is, but it's really the essence of who, of what a person who has their own defined self. They have defined a self for themselves.
Okay. But before you end talking about Bible scriptures,
yes.
The scripture that came to mind today when we talk about tit for tat was a scripture in Mark where Christ talked about doing good to others even if they don't do good to you. It's easy to do good to someone who's doing good to you. It's easy to repay evil for evil, but it's even harder to do good to those who are doing evil to you.
And there is that whole evil for evil goes into that whole thing.
Counterattacking.
I'm allowing some counterattacking. Thank you for sharing that scripture. That's, where I allow this other person to get me sucked into some kind of a cycle where we're going, like you said, tit for tat. Then I'm not me. I am the me that you have just created for me. So it's not the real Robert Davis. It is the Robert Davis that I've allowed you to create. And what I want to be is the real who I am. And sometimes we say things such as, well, the real who they are is a person who is retaliatory and vengeful and spiteful and all these other things. And yes, to a certain extent, until we learn how to define a self, we do become so enmeshed, so entwined in various relationships and emotional responses and reactivity that does become the essence of who we are. But that doesn't have to be the essence of who we will always be. We can begin to progress and we can begin to take those steps. And again, as I shared before, the very first step is for us to say, this is who I want to be. This is the type of person that I want to be, kind of like a vision statement for our personality.
A relationship vision board.
A relationship, say that again.
I like relationship vision board.
Wow.
I like that.
That wasn't
You're
the
so
homework.
smart.
You're so smart. That wasn't our homework for this week, but I think that's a very essential part. Yeah. So do me a favor. Can you share with our viewers what our homework is for this week?
Okay, well, for this week, spend some time journaling your thoughts. Each day, write a paragraph or so about the type of person you want to be in your family's interaction and all your other relationships.
Wow.
Repeat?
Yeah, can you
Say it again?
Yes,
All
please.
right. So each day, write a paragraph or so about the type of person you want to be in your family interactions and in all your other relationships.
And let me just jump in here for a second. There's an assignment that Jack Canfield, who wrote the book Chicken Soup for the Soul, he has a wonderful book called Success Principles. And in there, he talks about writing out some I want statements. And one of the I want statements is just spend about 2 to 5 minutes writing out as many I wants as you want to. Or another way to do it is write out 30 I wants. And one of the things is to write out who you want to be.
We did that.
We did that, yes. We did that together. Who do you want to be? Not what do you want to have, not I want to have this or I want to accomplish this. I'm talking about the essence of who you are, the type of person. So that's another way, another aspect. If you want to kind of break up the monotony this week, you can kind of throw that in there, right? Do a I want exercise.
Okay, or maybe we can throw up the name of the book.
Well, okay,
viewers.
that's Jack Canfield, The Success Principles, and and you'll see that as on your screen. So we're going to be back here next week at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Tune Up Tuesdays, Denise, because even the smoothest running family needs a
Tune Up Tuesdays.
We're going to see you next week.
See you next week.
Thank you for watching Tune Up Tuesday. You can connect with us on Facebook or check out our website at swg-unboxed.org. That's swg-unboxed.org. Again, thank you for watching and tune in next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another insightful episode of Tune Up Tuesday. Seasoned with Grace Unboxed also provides healthy relationship training and leadership development for businesses, churches, and community organizations. For a free consultation to discuss your team's needs, please contact us at our website at swg-unboxed.org. That's swg-unboxed.org.